Well, I don't think there's, this, it's so competitive, winning close games are really important, because it's just so competitive. And, there's not one thing, and we will do that at the end of the year as we do every year, to evaluate the things we're doing in all phases of the program. And there's in every department, be it recruiting, be it academics, be it how we do things day to day, how we practice, what we do schematically, offensively, defensively, special teams. We'll evaluate all of that and take coaches' input and all the coaches and figure out, where we feel like we can improve, in every phase. How do we practice? Do we practice this enough? Do we practice that enough? It's just, we really have to put a microscope. How can I be better as a head coach? What can I do to help our staff? What can I do to help our players? So the first place I will look is in the mirror to see. I will ask for input from the staff on those type of things. I always sit down one-on-one with every player on the team and find out how they feel about things, about how, from everything, from the food to the travel to the everything, So we'll do a deep dive and figure out, where we can improve.
Does that start Sunday?
Sunday we will have a staff meeting to kind of get a grip on what's going to happen next week. We'll have staff meetings Monday through Wednesday next week, mainly to talk about recruiting, because the following week we'll be able to go out, contact period starts, and so we'll go in on the board and we'll take all the seniors' names off, and as we already know who's leaving, obviously, but we'll take those off and we'll reevaluate where we are and what our needs are and so on and so forth. So next week we'll really get more into the recruiting process because it's really important that we get out and we're aggressive in the recruiting trail.
Can you give us a little bit more detail on the timing of all the recruiting dates and when you have contact, and also when do you expect Keenan to make a decision about his future?
I would expect Keenan to probably make his decision, I'm guessing, next week. We will sit down next week and have a talk with him and see what's on his mind, and then and the recruiting piece is pretty sure the week after next becomes a contact period. But we need to get out. We haven't had a chance. There's been no bye week this week, and bye weeks typically are used to be able to really get out and go to a bunch of games. We've hit some games here and there when we've been on the road, but it's going to be really important that we get out and make sure that we're getting proper evaluations and understand what our needs are.
What would your advice to Keenan be, and is his health issue going to be a factor in that at all or not?
I don't think his health issue will be a factor because it's nothing really serious. It's, I think, if we were playing in a bowl game, he would be ready for a bowl game. Whether he's ready this week or not, I don't know. But I'll go over anybody in that position. I've always tried to gather as much information as I can from the NFL, giving him the numbers. There's a junior evaluation that kind of ranks where they think he may go. I think that's important information. So I will try to gather as much information for him and sit down so he can make an educated decision. And I will support him in whatever he wants to do, but I think it's just real important to be able to make sure we get him all the proper information.
Have you got any assurances from Sandy or anyone else that you will be back, and is that important to get that resolved before recruiting and all that starts?
I'm sure when the season ends, we will sit down and talk about, the same thing that we do as a staff of evaluation of the program. I'm sure we will do the same thing. with Sandy. And I anticipate that happening next week. But we're moving forward as, we have work to do, and we're moving forward. We're making plans to get where we need to be and do the things we need to do.
Okay, any further questions?
Pardon me if I missed this earlier. How would you assess Bridgeford's performance? It seemed like he had things going pretty solidly up until that first interception. How would you characterize the performance game-wise?
Yeah, you did. That was asked earlier, but that's okay. I thought he managed the game really well. I thought his composure was good. I thought he prepared really well going in. He didn't look like the game was happening too fast for him. Made pretty good decisions, threw some good balls, and the screen was overthrown, and that was unfortunate. But got in a situation at the end where we had to throw some things downfield a little bit. But I thought he handled it well. The speed of the game against a really fast team and a very multiple defense with a lot of different looks. Handled the huddle, handled the play clock. All the little things as far as a quarterback's responsibility in a game under pressure when the clock's ticking, the signals are coming at you, all the little things that maybe some people don't realize how important it is, but the communication in the huddle, the snap count, all that type of stuff, he handled really well. And those are a lot of details for a quarterback that is really important to get everyone going in the right direction and doing the right things and being clear and concise with his play calls and, making sure the signals are right, all that type of thing. He has a really good handle on it. He prepares really well each week, studies a lot of tape. He stays really involved in the mental part of the game. And so, to play a team like that, I thought he did a nice job of doing what we asked him to do.
Jeff, as regards recruiting, you mentioned earlier, do you think you need to improve along both lines of scrimmage, offense and defense? Is that going to be a point of emphasis?
Yes. Yeah, it is. Defensive line will be a major point of emphasis. We have some young offensive linemen that we've had over the last couple of years that we feel really good about, but still, I don't think there's a position on the field that we will not be emphasizing. There's some positions we need more than others, but yes, offense and defensive line are definitely places where we will be recruiting some people, and but every position, there is not a position on the board that we're not actively recruiting for.
About Oregon State, Marcus Wheaton was sort of a known entity the last few years, but Cooks has emerged out of nowhere. What's he done so well to have exploded on the scene like he has?
Yeah, he's very fast, very quick, catches the ball really, really well. You're right. I mean, this season he's just blown up. I think he leads the conference in yards per reception. I think he's like 17.9 yards a catch. They do a good job. I think he's got like 59 catches and Wheaton's got like 61 or vice versa, but they're both very similar. But he has excellent speed, and after he catches the ball, run after the catch, he's very good. He's very good. He's strong. He's got very quick feet and very explosive. And so whether it be in the pass game or the reverses that they run to him or Wheaton, both those guys have tremendous speed and are very elusive with the ball in their hands.
As a duo, are they as good as Lee and Woods in terms of having to be aware of both of them at all times?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. They fit kind of right there with Woods and Lee. Both those guys are extremely fast and extremely talented. Both these guys are as well. They're not really a difference. I think Lee has separated himself as a really special player. But all four of those receivers, you can't focus on just one guy because, they have guys on both sides that can hurt you.
And your secondary,
Big
how
play.
would you evaluate their play this season?
I'd say up and down. Some, I think Steve Williams has had a very solid season. I really do. I think he's broken up a lot of balls. He's done a great job in coverage. I think he's tackled really well. And then, we've been up and down. Some games we've been very solid, and other games we haven't been. And so we need to be more consistent, in pass defense in the secondary.
Jeff, back to recruiting for a second. Can you talk about how your team's lack of success on the field this year may have impacted recruiting and the kind of reception you get from people when you go talk to them compared to in the past?
Well, I think that's always a concern. But what it also means is there may be opportunity for people to come and play and help us win. The recruits, the commits that we have so far, all seem to be solid. Recruiting goes a long time though. There's, as it goes back and forth all the way down to signing date. But it's still I think a very desirable place to come and play, and the body of work over a long period of time. We have a very solid group of kids here, good team atmosphere, education, new facilities, all those things that, the facility piece that we haven't had before. Obviously, that won't be a factor anymore. But it's really important that we go recruit the right guys that want to be here and can help us, and we can help them be successful as well.
How would you characterize the Oregon State defense, and what makes them as efficient a unit as they have been throughout the season?
Yeah, very solid group. Really solid, play very hard up front. Krishan, Dylan Wynn, those guys play extremely hard. Their linebackers, Doctor is all over the place. Michael Doctor is all over the place. Poyer in the secondary. They play really hard. And their rush defense, I think they only give up like 99 yards a game. I think they're second in our conference in rush defense. And so they do a nice job. They do a nice job on third down. So they probably, they have some experienced guys there, but their defense for years has been very solid. They do a great job. Mark Banker does a great job there of putting them in position, and they always play extremely hard, run to the ball, and they have good athletes, and they're physical up front.
Jeff, you guys rank 31st nationally in sacks, but you're only 8th in the conference. Any idea why teams in the league have been so good at getting the quarterbacks this year?
Well, there's a lot of multiple defenses. There's a lot of good pass rushers, in this league. Every team has them. Every team has multiple blitz packages. There's some good defensive players in the league, and so it's a challenge to protect the passer. There's no doubt about that. And staying out of third and long is really key. I think if you look at, I think Oregon leads our conference in the least amount of sacks. I don't know, maybe 10, something like that. I think they have given up. But they do such a great job of staying out of third and long because they're so efficient running the ball, and you hardly ever see them in a 3rd and 14, or what have you. They do a nice job of getting rid of the ball quickly. They're efficient in their run game. So there's a lot of reasons for sacks, but I think there's a lot of good pass rushers in this conference.
Time for maybe a final question here. Okay. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.